Welcome to OK Miniatures. For today's video, continuing Frostgrave theme, I'm going to be working on some trees. So, this is kind of noisy. I picked up these trees from Hobby Lobby because everything Christmas decoration related was 50% off, and these are pretty cool looking trees. I also saw a video from Black Magic Craft where he took similar trees and made them look better. So I'd like to give that a go. Yeah, that's about it. Let's open this up. So some of these trees I'd be perfectly okay with using as is. These ones are a little wonky, but like this one looks pretty good. But some of them have these giant blobs of snow, which just looks really bad. So the hope is that, following in Jeremy's footsteps, can remove these giant blobs of snow, and then, depending on how I feel, maybe change the color before reapplying snow in a more realistic fashion, hopefully. I'm okay with the color a little bit. Like, it's more of a blue spruce sort of look than a green, classic tree green. But I might want to add some flocking to like give it the look of having clumps of needles and whatnot. I'll probably try it out. I think I'm going to try it out on one of these little ones I don't really care for, and then if they look really bad, it's just a bush instead of a pine tree, which I'm okay with. So let's see how that goes. Test piece went well, so here we are with a giant bucket of water. This stuff did leave like little green nastiness in the water, so I figured this probably wasn't the best job for the kitchen sink. Hence the random sink in the basement. So I'm just going to stick these guys in there and give it a few minutes. I did not wait long at all for the test piece, and I also used warm water, so that should speed things up. You can actually see green stuff like floating off of these guys, which is kind of gross, but kind of cool too. Like just clouds of green coloring. Yeah, so this bucket's basically green already. I'm gonna give them a few minutes and then start scrubbing. But while we wait for that, I'm gonna grab a towel so I can lay these guys out. There's not really a lot of counter space here, but floor works. Alright, check this out. This is that water. Look how nasty that is. Like, my hand, you can't even see my fingers hardly. At the bottom, you can't. So that's kind of gross. Also, my hands are a little green. So, would recommend wearing gloves when you're working with this stuff. Alright, so got these guys all cleaned up. They're looking pretty good. But one thing I noticed was that these things are actually like slightly different colors, which I completely missed before. Like this one's a little bit more green, this one's a darker green. I really like the darker greens, and while it is nice to have them all nice and uniform, I think it'd be kind of cool to have a few that are a different color. So I'm thinking this one probably, and maybe the giant one, not 100% sure on that. I am thinking it might have an issue in future steps when I have to dip it in glue. It's kind of big. So I might hold off on that one and see how these guys look. If they look good, I might do this one the same way as these guys. But for now, I think I'm just going to do a couple of these smaller, medium trees. I'm going to hold off on them. And this one, because he's broken. So, next step, I'm going to mix up some PVA glue and water. Just to allow the glue to flow nicely all over these needles. I'm going to dip them, sprinkle with some flocking I picked up. This is coarse dark green. I would have gone with fine, but the store, that was Hobby Lobby, did not have a fine dark green flocking. It had a lighter green, which would look kind of odd on a pine tree. So once they get dipped, sprinkle them with this stuff, and then let them dry. So let's see how that goes. Another added benefit of having a little bit of variety in the trees is that if I later decide to add more trees and they don't quite match, it's not a huge deal. Oh snap, forgot to trim the nasty weird long things. Good. I'm gonna have to add in a step. I think that looks okay. Probably would have worked better to use slightly thicker glue mixture. It's got like a weird two-tone look to it. I think I'm gonna try add a whole bunch of glue to thicken up this mixture. That was a lot. I guess I said a lot. And hopefully that will help things to stick a bit better. Also gonna trim up these guys before I dip them now that I remembered. Okay, for these little ones, they don't really look like pine trees to me because they're kind of short and not very pointy. So I'm gonna add a whole bunch of flocking in the hopes that they will become pretty good sized bushes. So I really like the overall look of the flocking added. It gives it a nice little bit of texture and more than just like little pokey needles. But when I put the flocking on, it doesn't completely cover. So this might be solved by using a finer flocking, but I'm okay with this except for the color of the needles is significantly different than the color of the flocking. So it's pretty obvious that there's like these bluish needles and then this dark green flocking, and it just doesn't look good. So I got a couple ideas on how to fix this. We'll see how that goes. Thinking maybe spray painting the trees before I put flocking on them, or putting a second coat of flocking on the trees, or maybe even painting them afterward to make sure that everything matches. But that might also defeat the purpose of the flocking. We'll see. Here's my spray painted pine trees. This one no flock, this one flock. Originally I thought they both look pretty good. I'd be okay with either. I might actually do a mix. But after letting it dry overnight, I'm actually kind of leaning towards the one with flocking. I'm planning on adding snow to these trees to make them for Frostgrave, and this one, the flocking, I think will help add volume to the snow, so I need less flocking for the snow, and also it gives it a little bit of texture, like there's individual needles on these branches, not just one single green stick. So I'm gonna quick finish up flocking on all of these and hit them with a coat of spray paint. I was thinking about leaving some of these as is, but comparing them to spray painted trees, they look pretty terrible. So that's not gonna happen. I think also part of it might have been they had some of that dyed water on them, so they look darker than they really were. Yeah, they look bad now. So let's get some flocking done. Final step is to just take some modeling spray glue stuff and squirt that on these guys and spread some flocking on. But first I want to add some bigger clops of snow. So I tried a few with just the spray glue and some flocking, and they look pretty good, but not like pine trees that have been sitting in a blizzard for years laden with snow, so that their branches are about to like snap off. So I took some white texture paste, I think is what it's called, white goop, and put blobs of that on my pine trees, which I think turned out really, really well. Not 100% sure that this is completely realistic or like the best I could do, but as I went on, I got faster, and I think they actually turned out better. Especially the smaller ones look really good with just little bits of snow and all that flocking. What makes them look really frosty, which I think is an awesome effect. Some of the bigger ones are not quite so good, but still really happy with how they all turned out. I think they look significantly better than the originals, although I don't remember exactly what the originals looked like. I do have this one that I did not paint, and I'm happy that they are no longer this color. I got two of these little guys. They look like bushes. They aren't as good, but I'm sure they'll still be useful. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more content like this, consider subscribing. If you want to see a certain sort of video, or if you like this video style a little bit better, please let me know. I did do things a little bit differently this time around. So thank you for watching. With that, I'll see you in the future.